Come on in, sit down at the front. All right, just welcome. Start. Just go down the line, tell us who you are and a little bit about you, and then we'll ask questions after that.
Awesome. So to kick it off, I'm Michelle. I'm a third-year computer science undergraduate here, and I get really excited by ways technology can be used to enhance human-to-human interaction and not replace it. And in terms of technical experience, I've interned at NASA, Apple, and will be at Google this summer. And so I'll be serving as the hacker and designer for the team. Awesome.
Cool. Hi everyone. My name is Kaveh. I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington. I'm a child of immigrants. I have long been interested in how to combine art and science. As an undergraduate, I majored in math and English. I then did a master's in statistics while serving as a research assistant to the editor of The New Yorker. And I'm now doing a PhD in economics while taking journalism courses with the goal of both generating new knowledge and figuring out how best to present that knowledge to people in a way that changes not just minds but hearts. I am very happy to be here and look forward to your questions. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Titus. I'm a Swiss investigative journalist. I moved here in August for a one-year fellowship, JSK fellowship at Stanford. I'm interested in personalizing news platforms, and personalizing content is very, very exciting.
Cool. What's a JSK fellow?
John S. Knight Fellowship. It's the name of the founder. And they invite journalists for 1 year to think about the future of this profession.
Very prestigious. Very prestigious. Don't be modest.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Hi, I'm Janelle. I'm a CS major here, formerly on the AI track. I am also a section leader, and I research at the Vision Lab under Dr. Faith Lee and at the HCI Lab under Dr. Manisha Agarwala. I actually remember Mar because she was part of the Women's Career Community cohort. So great to see you. I'm very passionate about making information more accessible. That's the intersection of AI and HCI through visualization and also LLP, and I definitely am a builder at heart.
Hello, I'm Michael Grant. I'm also a John S. Knight Journalism Fellow, so Titus and I are in the same cohort. And my challenge is kind of centered around technology and making that more accessible to journalists across the newsroom, but also journalists of color. I'm really happy to be a part of this cohort. I'm also the creative director of the San Francisco Business Times, and I have a background in print design, and I transitioned into web development. So I've been kind of struggling with CMSs, trying to figure out how to sort of bend them to help us tell our stories online, and technology is a really big interest of mine.
And so what's the big idea you think, the problem you're solving?
Sure. So I'll try to summarize it in 30 seconds. So the starting point for our idea is that journalists are storytellers. And when we tell stories in real life, we don't tell them the same way to our grandmother as we do to a college student. We use data that's stored somewhere up here to personalize the story so that it can resonate most with that person. You might omit certain details or emphasize others. You might tell an inside joke to make it most attractive to that person. Now, currently, news organizations have a decent amount of data about their users and have the potential to acquire a lot more so that they can potentially know as much about their users as Google or Facebook does. But they continue to use a one-size-fits-all model, putting out a single article no matter the demographic characteristics of the reader. Our tool aims to solve this issue in a couple of ways. We spent about 8 or 9 weeks developing a tool in this course called Computational Journalism, which was offered this semester, I guess. And it does a couple of things. On the writer end, it provides writers with a way to personalize an article that's fun and easy to use, so that they can personalize an article for someone who's young or old, rich or poor, from the US or abroad, etc. And on the user end, we take in the data of the user and we present them with a personalized version of the article for them in a way that's both personal but also lets us both make the grandmothers happy and make the college students happy.
So it makes sense, I guess. What would be the business model?
I think it's definitely a B2B business model. Only the bigger players are today able to gather the data about their users to track what they read, who they are, etc. And a news organization today starts just to personalize the content distribution. For example, if I go to the New York Times website and I didn't log in the last 3 days, I will get an important story from 2 days ago because they flagged it as evergreen and relevant and important. So I will get it, but if she logs in and she already was there yesterday, it wouldn't appear. But the content itself is not personalized. And if you think about the potential, you could engage much more younger readers, for example, without deceiving the 55 plus reader base.
So what do you think is the reason, what do you think you hope to learn in the class?
Yeah, so the typical sort of cycle around producing, say, an interactive story or even a news application is kind of it's heavy with sort of feedback from the newsroom, but there isn't a whole lot of sort of interacting with the actual reader and the audience and understanding more about sort of their needs and how we can deliver for them. So I'm not really satisfied with the solutions that we come up with, you know, in the experience that I had. But I think this class will really help us to, as a group, really develop, you know, the way in which we work, sort of identify what the user needs are, and really start to push deep into this really interesting project.
Also from this class, there are a couple of challenges that we've already started discussing and thinking about, and we're hoping to explore more through this class. One of which, the most important, is we want to utilize data that's already existing in order to personalize articles, but with that personalization and with that use of data always comes the question of privacy. And so challenges like that we're hoping to gain experience with by talking to doing interviews and getting
I have a question on your tech. I saw the demo, which looks great. I wonder how much of it is canned versus how much can be fully automated.
Yeah.
You have personalized, summarized, dumbed down for people that maybe my kids are not don't have a strong vocabulary, etc.
Yeah, so most of the pipeline is actually automated right now. The journalist can choose, I wanted to personalize this by gender, by age, by whatever, and then on our back end, we have the different versions for that particular statement that's been personalized by that dimension. In order for them to really get a lot of flexibility, where we want to add this feature where they can do by college education, for example, or by income. So we want to add those, but most of it is automated right now. And I think the real power here is that right now in journalism, personalization is limited to recommendations, and even that, only if the top few key players are doing it, like let's say the New York Times, the Washington Post, and even those top key players are doing a really poor job at that. And so we want to redefine what personalization really means by saying, let's have journalists be able to write to these different kinds of audiences, because even readers have this they want to be engaged.
Why not become your own destination site?
Oh, sorry.
Why not become your own news outlet? Like, I'm going to go there to
Or
get
your own
my...
version of Flipboard or something,
Yes.
the modified Flipboard.
In my eyes, when you write an article, you're trying to figure out what's my reader, but this reader doesn't exist. And you can vary many different things. And what we discovered in this class is you can just vary a few spots to make it much more engaging for somebody. And why not being our own media outlet? It's a question of critical mass. You don't have the critical mass to produce enough story to be attractive. And I think the way we come, the solution we have found for the moment is so simple for the writer that it's easy to deploy in a news organization. I work in a news organization for years now, and I can imagine that in a very short time you could test it and do a proof of concept and see what's the benefit of it. You could do A/B testing.
I don't disagree with you, I'm just, thinking bigger.
Any other questions? Yeah, I mean, anything else? All right, cool.
One.
Yeah.
Could you, I know you're thinking B2B, but could you imagine a B2C business model?
If there is enough founding with enough authors, it
Okay.
could be feasible, but
So
it's a
I
huge thing.
think yes, because our readers do provide, are one of our customers really. And I think one example where this would be compelling is that we had a journalist who was working on a breast cancer article, and so the real areas where personalization mattered was, for example, one major point was that for communities of color are disproportionately affected by this, and that was one of the main points. But I as an Asian woman reader, got this additional statistic, and in addition to like the incidence of cancer among Black women is a lot higher than white women, and I also got this statistic about my own community, and that was very engaging to me. A lot of our, during testing, a lot of our user interview sessions, like for this journalism class, we found that was extremely compelling to a lot of people. And at the end, for example, we got this statistic about women getting self-exams, but for our male readers, we have some information on prostate cancer, which is the most common cancer.
Cool. Really, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I wanted a better name for you guys, though.
Suggestions, please.